Welcome to We Weren't Friends in High School, the podcast where I reunite with high school classmates from Wissahickon High School. I am Brad Corbett, class of 2001. Last episode was incredible. The reaction from everybody has been tremendous. Thank you to everyone that's reached out, commented, shared, and now subscribed. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are on everything. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts. We're there. We're searchable. So tell people and, keep subscribing and do all the things that you're supposed to do with podcasts. I don't know how the rating stuff works, but the social media is out there. Thank you to people who are following. This is, when I start to see people who are following and like old classmates and people who are above and under and wives of classmates that are following, the community that's really starting to build here is pretty cool. And so the Instagram is We Weren't Friends in High School, no apostrophe. The Twitter is WWF in High School. My social media is REDSHIRTPLAYA. Let's talk about this week's episode. Today's guest is Erik Coxen. After I scheduled Mike Clyburn, I had a lot of cancellations. Just a little bit of a peek into the production, because I think some of that stuff's pretty interesting. Just what it's like to try and reach out to people that you haven't talked to or don't talk to often or haven't talked to in sometimes close to 20 years. So just wanted to share some of that with you guys. I was reaching out to people that I somewhat talk to on social media, and I thought maybe there would be some easygoing interviews or just something to maybe get my feet wet. But real life does get in the way, and so a lot of people just had stuff happening that we'd try and get something scheduled, and then something would happen, and they'd have to cancel, and so I really had to kind of recalibrate how I was going about it because it wasn't working out great as I was trying to get these interviews. And so I figured, since I was going after all these people that I do talk to and that I have a bit of relationship with, and maybe felt more comfortable saying, hey, I'm starting a podcast, would you come on? I decided, you know what, let's go to someone I'm kind of afraid to reach out to, someone I'm afraid to even tell about this. And so I did it. I was talking to Erik Coxen and said, hey man, I'm doing a podcast. And Erik and I had shared a couple comments back and forth on Instagram from time to time, or Facebook or whatever. And I said, hey, I'm doing this podcast and I don't know what your schedule's like, but maybe you'd be down to come and just have a, conversation about the times. And without hesitation, Erik was 100% in. It was like, yep, you want to do it this weekend? And I was like, whoa. He came down and we vibed, I thought, pretty good. Couple beers and some atmosphere, and we just started rolling. And it's not like I went into this interview with any type of script or even like a list of questions other than the generic, hey, who was your favorite teacher type of questions. But I was fully prepared in reality to have like a back and forth about why Erik thought I was corny. Or I was going to tell him about stealing all of my biracial thunder. And that is not this interview. Very quickly, I learned that I didn't have a clue who Erik was or what he was going through during the years that he was and wasn't in high school with me. And you'll see what I mean.
Test. 1, 2.
Now we're good.
Cool.
All right. So we will just start, and I'll just say, hey. So one of the cool things, I guess, about when I thought about doing this podcast was the opportunity to learn stuff, not just about me, but about people that I spent years going to school with. So you, Erik, are one of the top people that when I thought about doing this show, I thought, man, what would a conversation be like? Because we didn't get along.
I mean, I don't know if it was we didn't get along as much as we just at that point really didn't have any, like, you know what I mean? People are cliquish, and you know, people take different paths. So maybe I think we was just on different paths. I feel like I didn't really not get along with people. I just didn't. They weren't into the stuff I was into. So, you know,
Yeah.
you find people alike.
One of the things that I think about when I think about first knowing you or even not knowing you was, where did you come from?
Yeah.
One of the most confusing things I think was, here came this biracial kid who has all these friends out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like 9th grade, you come to Wissahickon?
Middle of 8th grade.
8th grade?
Yeah.
So you were in middle school?
Right after winter break, whatever year that was, in the middle of 8th grade. Yeah, that's when I came, and I went to Chestnut Hill Academy from kindergarten to that point, you know, and then due to reasons out of my control, you know, I had to transfer, and I went to Wissahickon, and I had grown up on Forest Avenue in Ambler, so all the Pee Wee sports, you know, I knew Earl from, I don't know, we might have been 5 on baseball teams. I played PW football for many years. I knew, you know, Ryan Parfit, Johnny Manzer. There was a lot of people that were already in the Wissahickon, you know, school district that I had spent many years with outside of a classroom, you know, doing fun stuff with. So,
Yeah.
And then, you know, Gene Smack lived, I mean, we grew up hand in hand. Our parents were friends. So, and then likewise, there was like Ben Jackson, people that grew up in my apartments, and then going down, hanging out in Knights Park. So before I even went to Wissahickon, I already had a good chain of people from the area. So
Wow.
enter 8th grade, it was kind of like, you know, Chestnut Hill was, it was almost like a culture shock, you know. Chestnut Hill's all boys, mostly, well, if not all wealthy people, right?
Yeah.
You know, so it was different for me being, you know, when I came to Wissahickon, it was like people automatically had this like stereotype, like my dad owned a car dealership, and, you know, I was like this rich kid and stuff, but, you know, I grew up in this apartment, you know what I mean? 2-bedroom apartment on Forest Ave, and Chestnut Hill was weird because I was never like a wealthy kid to fit in there, but I still had plenty of friends. But then you come to Wissahickon, and I had friends, but also there was a lot of people that didn't, you know what I mean, that didn't like me just because of who they thought I was.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Who do you think you were when you came, I guess, when you came to Wissahickon versus that's who everyone thought you were at Chestnut Hill. When you came to Wissahickon,
Yeah.
who do you think you were?
And I don't know, 8th grade, you know, I was actually happy to be around, you know, like friends I spent most of my outside of the classroom with. You know, you have the friends you're in school with, the people you're in class with, and then you have like real friends that you do, you know, you grow up with and like kind of learn life lessons with, you know. So it was exciting, and you know, I don't really know who I was. I think that's in 8th grade. You know, you think you're an adult, you think you're starting to make your own decisions, and I don't want to say conflict with your parents, but you're starting to feel like you know it all, you know. So I think I was really trying to fit in and just have fun, you know. I really didn't take anything serious, you know. Class clown. It wasn't that I wanted attention, but it was just I just didn't take Wissahickon serious or school serious. I'd rather just play, you know. And that's when I came to Wissahickon. I was with my friends, so like it was a distraction, you know. You know, it was easy to fuck off on school and mess around with my friends. So,
what kind of stuff do you do after school?
At Wissahickon, when I got to Wissahickon, before Wissahickon, like in Chestnut Hill, I said I did a lot of those Pee Wee sports. But once I got to Wissahickon, stuff kind of changed, and it was more. I don't know. My life kind of changed to more of a relaxed instead of a scheduled setting, because everything was close. Whereas when I went to Chestnut Hill, I had to have rides figured out and carpooling, and then Wissahickon, it was just like get on your bike and go, you know. And then after school, probably just try to end up at a friend's house. I have 2 older half brothers, but they didn't live in my house, so I didn't really want to be home by myself or playing in the neighborhood. By the time you're in 8th grade, it's getting old, so I try to either be at, Earl, hanging with Earl, Penn Lynn, or, Andrew Lozano and Township Line. I spent a lot of time back over there.
Wow.
Eddie, I can't even think of his last name, but I spent a lot of time out, like Tara Cooper Smith. I was just Lindsey Barleib's house. I just, as much as I could, just be out of the house.
Yeah.
And try not to miss anything that was happening.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So you just dropped some names.
Yeah. A little memory lane.
Yeah. So that is like I think the idea of people who didn't hang in that crew, at least from my side, like that was the image, that it was just this party, house to house to house.
Yeah.
Let me in a little bit.
I mean, that's
don't get anyone in trouble, but let me in a little bit.
It was a lot of the time. You would have somebody in that circle who would have older siblings, so it was easy to latch on. You know what I mean? Just latch on.
Yeah.
Where are they going? Because, yeah, I mean, at that point, at that time in life, it really wasn't like, I don't know. I was never turned away from anywhere. So I could be 8th grade, I could be a freshman, and I could be in a room of seniors and like, nobody, not like the movies or anything like that where anybody's like trying to pick on somebody or like there'd be problems. It was just like, I don't know. A lot of those older people just took us in and like, we were cool. They got down. We saw what they were doing and picked up on stuff, whether it was drinking, smoking, so, and yeah, it was just one big, just getting drunk and high, really. I mean, it was just, I guess, experimenting with, fucking dazed and confused type shit,
Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of how it was. Like, it wasn't really more like, where are we going to get fucked up? For if you could turn back time, you would change some stuff and like realize the advantages you could have if you took stuff back then serious. But at that point, it's just, you're kind of living in that day and you're just trying to, where are we getting high,
Do you think that like if you could take it back, would you take that? Like, do you feel like you really missed?
Yeah, I mean, knowing what I know now, because it's like, I spent time trying to play football in Wissahickon and, different sports or whatever. And it's like, unless, a small percentage of people, I don't even know if anybody in our, like, from Wissahickon that in our generation or in the give forward 5 years, back 5 years, had gone professional, right? Like, so
yeah.
it's like, you spend time getting fucking high and trying to get girls and playing sports thinking that's cool. But like in real life, when you're an adult, none of that shit gives you an advantage in the real race, right? So like knowing what you know now, turn back, like you graduate. I went local colleges, Mount Code, Temple. I graduated with $33,000, $40,000 debt. Knowing that, I would have rather have tried to get good grades in high school and not said fuck, sports and all that, and got like a scholarship or a partial scholarship or somewhere, gone to like Hawaii for school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like live somewhere where like, home's always going to be home. Like I don't want to not be here. Like I'm not saying I would change it and like I'd live this alternate life somewhere else, but I've always wanted to like live on a beach, and even if it was for college for a few years, since you're going to have debt anyway, like you might as well like boom.
Yeah.
That's probably like the only thing I would like do different. You know what I mean? Like knowing what I know now.
You mentioned not being rich, and you talk about travel. I was lucky enough to have family in California, and so that was like the thing that we would get to do for travel. That got me on a plane, but a lot of kids don't get to do that. Did you get to travel at all as a kid?
So my household was kind of a weird household. I had my mom was Jewish, my dad was black and Indian, and my dad had, like I said, he had a previous marriage. And when I came along, my parents really were kind of getting over each other, you know what I mean? But my dad had left his previous marriage and left the kids for a long period of time, and it kind of messed them up. So he kind of stuck around to be in my life, and we took one like family trip to Disney World when I was like 3, but other than that, we really didn't do family like trips like that. And I think like a couple of times my mom's dad lived in Florida in Fort Lauderdale. And like when I was young, probably like 10, I think we went there a couple of times. And then once I went to Puerto Rico and took like a day trip to St. Thomas with my mom again. Other than that, when I got older, it was like a few times to Vegas with Gene. And that's really it. I haven't really traveled like I would like to.
Now, as an adult, you haven't?
No.
Oh, yeah.
No. House bills and just like it's a different. I didn't take advantage of it when I was saving for a house. I had extra money to do stuff like that with, but I wasn't thinking about it, And now you look back like, damn, the time I had the disposable income to do that with, I really was, doing stupid shit with it. But
do you have a dream spot?
What, to visit?
Yeah.
Pretty much like the Mediterranean, somewhere like, you can pick anywhere along those coastal
beach.
Yeah. Somewhere that would probably be a nice like 2-week Mediterranean cruise where you like hit a couple of places.
Yeah. Get a variety.
Yeah. Spend a couple of days at each place, but not like one of the cruises where you're like on the inside of the ship where like you don't have a window. You'd have to do it big where you have like a balcony, so you're always looking at like picturesque stuff. That's like I'm gonna do it. That's like bucket list stuff right there. That's what I would like to do. But yeah, that's really it. I mean, I have gone. I think I mean, I guess I've done a little. I've gone to New Orleans and now I think about like Niagara Falls, but they were all like little trips with like a girlfriend or something. You know what I mean? Not like
big.
Yeah, not like tearing it up. Like Vegas with Gene was probably like the best like experiences, but like I never really traveled with my friends.
Yeah,
we've done Ocean City, we've done beach trips.
Sure.
That's
like
the drive, the extent of our like group trips. Which is like, I wish we would do more of that, but people are married with kids now, so it's not the same,
So you mentioned that your mom is Jewish and your dad is black, and I'm the exact same.
Oh yeah, you're Jewish too?
Yeah.
Did you have a bar mitzvah?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, full on Jew.
Now, did you have Jewish friends?
Well, my mom wanted me to know about the religion and everything. So we didn't belong to a synagogue. All my mom's side of the families belonged to synagogues and stuff, but it wasn't in our cards. So we did like a Sunday school, which it was like every Sunday maybe for 2 hours maybe. You would it would be like they I don't know if it was volunteer but it was at like they would rent out rooms at Germantown Academy. And we would go. I can't even think of how many kids there might have been, but we would learn about the, Jewish religion, the Hebrew, and all the prayers, and teach us the routines and the celebrations and stuff. So I naturally had some friends through there, but no, like it wasn't like
I
didn't have no Jew squad. But that was probably like my most exposure to a Jewish community was Sunday school. It wasn't like I grew up in Ambler on Forest Ave in like a Jewish community. You know what I'm saying? So, nah.
I had zero like exposure. Like my family was Jewish, and so we celebrated high holidays. But I skipped the bar mitzvah. And when Mike was here a couple weeks ago, we actually talked about that being some of the most uncomfortable shit I had ever done was sitting in synagogue and looking around and everyone's white.
Yeah.
And I'd never really experienced something quite like that because I grew up in Ambler. I grew up in South Ambler where, like 70-30.
Yeah.
Black.
Yeah.
And so to be in a community that was just completely white that I didn't really know about because my family we did high holidays, but the rest of my family didn't really celebrate stuff. They all lived out of the state. And so it wasn't a big deal. It meant something to my mom, didn't mean anything to my dad. And so that was something that I didn't even know where to get that.
Yeah.
But you went all the way.
I still deal with it now as I guess growing up, I really kind of distanced myself from my family, because like I said, my parents weren't really together. And as I got older, I found comfort more with my friends and their family, you know what I mean? Like, because that was more of a family atmosphere than what I had at home. As I get older and stuff, and I want a better relationship. I think that's part of growing up is wanting like being a better person, wanting better relationships. I've done more with my mom's side of the family, which I like previously would never do. And so what you just touched on, I experienced because I have quite a lot of cousins on that side that are actually doing bar and bat mitzvahs. Probably I've had to have done at least 4 or 5 in the past as many years. So I am that colorful face amongst you know Caucasians in the synagogue. But I think you've probably experienced it. It's been plenty of times when you are that face. You know what I mean? I don't know whether it's even going back to when you're a kid. You know, I've had you know, you go to your mom's side of the family for functions and you're the only colorful face. You go to your dad's side and it's all color. You know, so it's like. To me, I'm already used to it. Like this, you always have people look, you know what I mean, or wonder, you know what I mean. But I do the same thing. Who doesn't? Who doesn't people watch? They're looking at me wondering shit, and I'm looking at them wondering shit. So it's just
wonder what he's got in him.
Yeah, you know what I mean, or like who does he know, or why is he here? Like I bet you they don't know I'm Jewish or I'm bar. You know, I've had a bar mitzvah. I can speak it. I've, you know, read. I had to learn my part. I have a Hebrew name, Moshe. You know what I mean? Like I'm
jealous.
Yeah, I know a lot about it. So, you know, I just went out to dinner last night with my cousins who are they're kosher. You know what I mean? They don't eat certain things. Yeah, and that's not something I'm
like Hasidic.
They're not like that deep. It's just like pork.
Okay.
You know? Or you know, you're not supposed to mix dairy and meat. Right. So
they
like cheeseburger, like that's not really cheese and meat. It's not supposed to go together. And for me, I'm like, for real, you guys are like that, like, you know what I mean? Like I've seen them. It was the first time we were like had a dinner socially, so like I got to learn a little bit about, you know, who they are, you know, and that was the first time I'm like, damn, people really like my family really doesn't do certain things. That's, you know, I've always known other people, but like to me, you know, bacon is bacon, right? Like. But it's interesting. But yeah, that's not to digress. But yeah, that's always been something that I think you and I can relate to, is just in certain scenarios being that face that isn't necessarily the common face in the room. You know?
Yeah.
So
I feel like you socialized in a predominantly black group of friends. Do I have that right?
I mean, I feel like I had a lot of, I mean, no, at first I say it was probably like 50-50. I had a lot of white friends too. You know, the Brad McGoldricks and the Brian Keenans, you know, like Eddie Waltermate, I think that was his name.
Yeah.
That came back to me. No, it was like 50-50 at first. Like Ben Jackson was probably, I mean, growing up, besides Gene, some of my best friends were white. And then, you know, by the time I got to like 8th grade, that's when like Earl really became my best friend. And naturally, because he lived in Penland, going over there, I would hang out with more of, you know, black kids. But I still had plenty of time with like Brad McGoldrick and Brian Keenan and that crew. Like, you know what I mean? Like, before I got locked up in high school, that's probably who I hung out with at that time, like Lindsey Barley, even Rena Lewis, Adrian, like that crew. Like, that was I probably hung out with them, like me and Steve Johnson, right? Yeah. Probably hung out with that crew more than I hung out with any black dudes. I was probably with them most of the time before I like got sent away. So,
when did you get sent away? Can we talk about that?
Like, I guess it was the middle of 9th grade, maybe. And I don't think I made it out of freshman year. Definitely don't think I don't think I was 10th grade. So I think it was probably like freshman year sometime.
Where'd you go?
First I went to a detention center, and then they sent me to Glen Mills. They were going to keep me there for 14 months. Actually, maybe it was 10th grade. But either way, I ended up going to Lakeside. You know, I ended up getting a lawyer and getting out of Glen Mills.
Is that just behavioral? Was that an incident? Is that?
Yeah, no, I got, you know, I was selling weed in high school, and, you know, I would come to school with a whole bunch of Nick bags, probably like almost $300 worth a day. And just one day I just didn't sell out. I might have had 6 left. It used to sell out. Like,
Wow.
yeah, it was easy. The second period, be gone.
Wow.
Like, yeah, all cash.
My mind is blown right now.
It was
Wow.
really easy. Yeah, it was really easy. It was going like that for most of ninth grade. Like, I mean, I've always wanted like more expensive stuff, and my parents weren't getting it, so I would get it, you know. So,
Yeah.
But I dropped. I'll never forget. I had a hoodie on, and then I just took it off, and like when I left, I guess I fell out the middle pocket, and it just, you know, one of my regretful times that I wasn't on point, and I didn't even really notice it, and probably till like I was on my way home, like fuck, I didn't even know where I dropped it. And then, sure enough, within like 2 weeks, I got called into what was it, Miss Gay's office?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But you knew you dropped it.
yeah, I know, yeah, because you know, I used to keep it in a different like bag, and everything was gone. So I was like, fuck. Hopefully, I dropped it like outside of school, but no, I dropped it in the class, like right under my chair. So cops came in, and then they like had a whole bunch of shit on me for just like doing dumb shit, like when me and Steve took change out of like an open change machine in the upstairs cafeteria. Yeah. So like they tried to charge me with like everything at once, and then I ended up just like getting probation and having to go to Lakeside for, I guess it was like a year and a half, which was a fucking crazy experience.
Wow.
It's like a big babysitting for high school, but
really,
yeah, Lakeside is just, there's no education there. It's just like, okay, you come at 9, you can be home by like 2, and can eat breakfast and sit in some fake class.
People would always, like, it was always this place people would refer to that they would just send people far away, and you never really knew much about it.
Lakeside wasn't even far. It was only like 15 minutes. It was like horseshoe.
Really?
Yeah, it was back in the cut. Then when I got there, I knew people there already, you know. And then like within maybe 2 months, Gene came. He got in trouble. I don't even fighting. My boy Justin Marc Lee, who's no longer with us.
Man, is Justin gone?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Justin Marc Lee, you know, he passed a while ago, but he was there. Then we got kicked out of there. Wow. All of us was like, you know, rolled together, took over like Lakeside for whatever that is. You know?
That just fucked my head up.
Yeah.
Right there. So, man, I grew up with Justin.
Yeah.
And Justin was like the first brown kid I knew.
Yeah, Spanish. Yeah.
He was Spanish.
Yeah.
We never vibed. It was similar. I think I had a thing with just kids that like were brown, and like I think I just had like an adversity thing. And wow, that's like a name that's like a guy I would have liked to.
Man, he probably passed. I don't even know if he might have just been 21, if that. I don't even know. Jeez. He passed real young. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember him after maybe middle school, elementary school.
He went to Lakeside.
Wow.
Then I think him and Gene went to a boot camp, and then he lived in Norristown, and yeah.
Wow.
Getting into some dumb stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, because you used to come in with the with like the Armani exchange sweaters, and like that was like your thing. So yeah. I think I probably definitely had the impression that you were rich, and you drove the Mercedes, right?
Yeah, my dad. Yeah, and then everybody. I still drive Mercedes, and then everybody thinks I'm rich because I drive Mercedes, but it's like, my dad works there. Mercedes gives us money to pay for our car payments.
Yeah.
Like we pay what people, if I went and bought into a Ford dealership and bought like a Focus, you know what I mean? Like,
how did you know about that? Because I never knew, like I had heard of Armani.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what it was really. I'd never seen it, but I'd never heard of Armani Exchange. How did you know about that stuff at 15, 16?
Grandmom. My grandmom lived in the city, took public transportation, you know, was in the hood, and my little old Jewish grandmom, and she loved fashion, and it's probably why I have a sneaker addiction to this day. She loves shoes, and my dad sold cars, he sold buses, he sold everything. So a lot of the time he'd be out of the house from 8 a.m. till 8, 9 at night. So I spent a lot of time growing up with my mom and grandma. So naturally, you know, she would take me shopping. My uncle, he's no longer with us, but he was huge into fashion. So I think, you know, without knowing it, I was being not being groomed, but I naturally took on that trait of you know, materialistic, you know, wanting something, feeling special with materialistic stuff, and ever since a young age, it's just been something, you know, I've sought after.
That's literally like the inspiration for Kanye. That's like how he used to rock. He was like the only kid back in the day who was rocking these brands that no one had ever heard of. And it's like, where do you get this?
His polos. And,
yeah.
It's usually, you know, despite what you would you think, there's usually, you know, mavens or other people who show you. You know, I've never stumbled upon anything myself. I would love to take credit, like I found this brand, you know. But you know, it's always something or somebody I see, or back then, you know, going through the mall and my grandmom taking me into this store, you know, and buying me my first sweater, and then I get a taste, you know, and then, like I said, fast forward ninth grade, mom and dad is like, you know, fuck no, I ain't spending no $125 on a sweater. You get a pair of sneaks a year. That's it. Like, you get one pair of sneaks. Yeah, you get one pair of sneaks, and this shit better last. And I'm like, man, I like these sneaks. I like this sweater. You know, I'm always out and I'm seeing this stuff. So, yeah, I turned to selling some weed in order to, you know, purchase what I wanted. You know,
wow,
and that worked out.
So you know what's crazy is that I think that you're definitely a person that, if you want to call it the popular kids, right? But you're a person that I think everyone talked about. And so rumors would fly. I don't think I ever heard that in my life. I never knew that. That is incredible. That's not something that that caught wind of everything, you know?
Yeah. I've been, I feel like I've been talked about, you know, a lot. So it's definitely.
That shit get back to you like in real time, you know, you're in class, whatever, it's 11th grade. Hey, someone says, yo, people are talking about blah, 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 or someone's saying this. We didn't have internet back then.
Yeah.
And so the ability to spread this info so quickly it had to go mouth to mouth. So, you know, it came from someone.
Yeah. I knew before I went to WWFINHS, people, you know, having the last name Coxen, you know, I heard the jokes, you know, from people who I never even met, you know, that I'm friends with to now, you know what I mean? But you growing up, kids are mean, you know, Erik Coxsucker or whatever. And I had friends in WWFINHS, so, you know, we would be hanging out and, you know, they'd say, yo, this dude was talking shit. This dude was talking shit. A couple of times, you know, I shouldn't say a couple of times, but there's been a time where my first introduction to people, because growing up in Ambler, it's a close town. You can fucking walk or ride your bike to somebody's house and knocking on their door and literally, yo, what's up? Like, is so-and-so home? I'm not going to drop names, but they come to the door like, yeah, I heard you were saying, you know, I'm Erik Coxsucker. And they'd be like, no, it's not like that. No.
Wow.
Now we're friends, you know? So,
wow.
Yeah. So you're right. It wasn't internet or Twitter or Facebook or indirect shit that people would throw. I just would have friends that, you know, were real friends and tell me when people were fucking talking shit on me. So that's back in, you know, 10, 11 years old. So, you know, nowadays people get shot and shit.
Yeah,
so that was still like, when you could, you know, knuckle up.
Yeah.
So,
wow, I instantly feel so lucky now that never. I always felt like we had just like, and you know what I think it was? I had animosity with Gene.
Okay.
Right.
And that's
so,
like my brother.
Right.
So
and that's the crew.
Naturally, it's like, well, if I have a problem with one, I'm going to have a problem. And I understand. I understand that.
Yeah.
If it was reversed, I would have been the side.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like that crew, Gene, Fran. I had an okay relationship with Earl.
Yeah.
You know, and
he gets along with everyone. Who didn't, right?
Yeah.
Was there anybody who did not have a
Earl was the wise man.
Yeah. Right.
I saw him at the DMX concert like a month ago. Looks exactly the fucking same.
Yeah, a little thicker, you know.
Yeah.
Got some adult age on him. Father age, you know. He's a dad, so.
Wow. So, did you like high school?
Honestly, another, I guess, you know, if I could turn back, I didn't really experience it. I didn't experience it like everybody did. When I got taken out of it, my life was at the 180, you know. Went from being the popular guy, trying to get girls, you know, having, you know, the girls who you're attracted to and you would hope to eventually have a chance with, to, you know, having to pay lawyers' fees and
you're so young.
Yeah, you know, I was even 15, you know. Wow. I'm giving my parents $2-3 grand for a lawyer. They don't have it, and once you're here in Glen Mills, I'm trying to hide stuff from them. I got stuff hidden between the mattress, acting like I don't have nothing. And I'm like, yeah, you got to take this money and pay for this lawyer. And, I get home and I'm at Lakeside. And like I said, that was babysitting. There's no after school sports. There's no, the girls there ain't the same quality and type as the girls at Wissahickon. I can tell you that. So it's not like my relationships or anything blossomed in Lakeside or anything. And at that point, you're not allowed at Wissahickon. You're not allowed on the property. So, it's just, I don't know. My experience, I didn't really get back into Wissahickon maybe until the last, what was it, semesters or quarters? The last quarter of 11th grade. And then it was, when I was a senior, they did like that work.
Block scheduling?
It was like a work program, or where I was in school for like 2 classes, and then I would go to like where they assigned me to intern, So I was barely in school. So like at first, everything was love when I got to 8th grade and 9th grade, like you said, the party and the being the popular crew. But you probably don't remember, but I was taken out of that. And then when I was taken out of that, I didn't hang with them like that. You know what I mean? That's when I really started hanging in Penn more. And like, I was hanging with, that black clique more, just because once I was taken away, like I lost kind of touch with my white friends, so.
Before you came, something I'm trying to remember to have people do is to sign the yearbook. So before you came, I pulled out the yearbook and I looked at your picture, and you mentioned in there about having dark times, and knowing who your friends are now, or knowing who you can trust. And I go, what the fuck is he talking about? What was so bad? And so my mind is completely blown. And maybe I knew about that, but maybe I knew you were gone, but man, I just don't remember any of that.
Yeah, exactly.
And that just puts a completely different.
Now you see, it was different, right? Because everybody has their own life, and everybody's, and when you're in high school, that's kind of when you're really developing into your own individual, who you're going to be, right? I mean, you still grow into your college years, but high school, think about 18-year-old going off to war. So like everybody has their own shit going on. So like me being taken out, it's on people's radar. They say it bloop, but then life goes, right? You have your own shit. You have your own drama. You have your own relationships. So like if we weren't really close, it still goes, and then boom, I'm back in. But if you're not even going to the parties I'm going to, you don't know if I'm there or not. You just imagine he might not be in school, but I'm sure he's still hanging out with the same people. So, it was, that especially at that point, I definitely wish I could take that some maybe put some more inspirational stuff and not dwell so much on some of that dark stuff. But I guess at the high school time when I had to, get a quote, that's where I was really like, I felt like, again, I went from being a real popular person to only having a few people I could really, you go through stuff and you find out who you can really trust, who's going to be there, who, when you do shit or you do dumb shit and people are still there for you, that, those are people you can count on, versus just people when shit times are good, they're there for you. You know? Everybody goes through that. I just went through it at a real early age.
Do you feel like that was necessary? For you to, do you feel like it was easy for you to change, I guess? And do you feel like having a smaller crew made that easier for the last year and a half?
I mean, it wasn't like I wasn't popular. So I'm trying to think, like, I think, at that age I had become more into girls. So I was hanging more out. I wasn't really even probably in 12th grade, I really wasn't even hanging out with my boys like that. I was more into like my chick, just me and my girl, like trying to think at that age I knew it all, and I was detailing cars, making money, and I just was ready for a serious relationship, and I was more focused on that. So again, I wasn't going to parties in 12th grade. I was dating an older woman at the time. I was down South Street. I had a fake ID. I was going. I was trying to be more of probably doing some college stuff, more than high school stuff. I was always kind of like a step ahead. Yeah. So, again, that whole high school life really, I feel I missed out on a lot of stuff despite, being part of the popular group.
You mentioned girls. Do you feel like our school was... Let me ask you, what do you... I don't want to put words in your mouth, and so... What do you feel like the temperament was for sex in our school?
I don't know. That's a weird question. Like, yeah, like the temperament, like the temperature, like was it a sex driven atmosphere that was just hot and heavy?
Yeah.
I mean, in the time, I would probably be. Again, I was dating an older woman that wasn't in high school. She was going to Temple, so I was kind of out of touch with what most of the girls were doing in our high school. Like, I knew a couple of girls were having sex, obviously, but like, I don't know. I didn't have my thumb on the pulse of how many girls were really like, getting turned out by their men at the time. I can tell you this. I feel like nowadays it's even worse than when we were. So like, there was definitely people that were sexually active. I don't know if, I don't think I would say our school was, well, advanced in the sexual activity going on. But I feel like nowadays, like
heavier.
Yeah. Like, yeah. I mean, you're talking like 13-year-olds, like a lot of them like doing sexual stuff, which even at like when I was 13, I was still probably more into sports than trying to get my freak on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was graduation for you? What did that
was see, I had so much shit going on. Like, there's so many stories about what's taking. So, I come back from getting arrested for selling weed. I'm labeled now. I have a label on me, right? So
you feel that from you like felt that from...
Oh, well, I can give you I have examples. There was times, this is stuff other kids didn't have to deal with. So there's times again, I was always trying to make money. I'd buy a bag of blow pops for like whatever, $2. Sell each blow pop for 50 cents out of my locker. Next thing you know, next day Mr. Madden's coming to me, homeroom, with I'm getting sent to his office with another person in there, a teacher I don't even know. And they're like, yeah, a girl said she bought a blow pop from you yesterday and got sick, felt sick afterwards. So we think you maybe were selling laced blow pops with like ecstasy or something. And I was like, oh yeah. Again, at this age, I'm really feeling like an adult, right? Like my parents are more, I'm not locked up. As long as I'm staying out of trouble, I'm like kind of have free range now, So like I'm feeling grown. I'm feeling like a senior, and I'm like 16, But I'm like, how much did I sell it to her? And they're like 50 cents. And I'm like, do you really think I'd be selling, drugs for 50 cents? And they let me go, But that's the type of shit I deal with. I'd have Mr. Madden coming up to me another time. Teacher said they smelled weed on you. Before, when you were coming in. And I'm like, yo, why would I waste it? Why would I get high and sit in like history class 45 minutes just like looking straight? Like, come on, man. Like, and like, I could see if sometimes, I mean, I'm not saying I never went to school high, but the times that they would like fuck with me, like it was just purely fuckery, just because they thought they labeled me as, this type of person, that he's going to be trouble. And really I was just trying to buy Armani and Nikes, you know what I mean? I wasn't really.
You suffered literally and I'm not making light of it, but that's what the black experience is for, the black man in America.
The label
and the inability to get an honest second chance when you are doing right. The minute they have the opportunity to go after you for something, they go after it, warranted or not.
Yeah, and looking back, it's probably, and just like it is today, you have, and I'm not saying Mr. Madden, I've actually run into him, after and have fine conversation with him. But you get somebody in a new position trying to show their boss they're doing good, this kid's going to be easy to get, and that'll make me look good. So they're always trying to, get you doing something. Like, so. That didn't make it unenjoyable. So graduating, going back to your original question, even more stuff I had to deal with was So it might have been a month before we were supposed to graduate. My mom gets a call or a letter basically saying they weren't going to let me graduate because of truancy. Now, I had never heard the word truancy before then. Nobody had ever spoken to me before about truancy. And what happened was, remember I said I had that work study program. So I had this work study, and some of my other students were going to lawyers and being little secretary, admin, answering phones, whatever. Just doctor's office, dental offices. And they sent me to the pager guy in Ambler.
yeah, man.
The fucking Dustin, was that his name?
Yeah, that's where I bought the Biggie and the Machiavelli album.
Yeah, me too, man. Yeah. Machiavelli, yeah, my shit. But so I took it as an insult, right? There you go again, like the black guy. Right? So just because I got caught selling drugs in 9th grade or maybe 10th, whatever. Now all of a sudden my future is the pager guy in Ambler. Like that's how I took it. I was really insulted by. It wasn't even like they asked me or gave me, hey, options. It was just like, I go there, this is where you're going. I'm like, what? Like, I grew up on Forest Ave. This is 2 blocks from where I live. Right. Like, this is my big, like, my first experience into the working world once I graduate. It's the damn pager guy. I could work here part-time on Saturdays in my neighborhood. This is a joke. So I didn't go, right? And they counted that as me not, like, going to school. So my mom, going back to the story, my mom... gets this letter saying I'm not going to graduate because of truancy. So she approaches me like, what the? It's like said I was like 50 days truant. It was a lot. It was like half a year. And I'm like, yo, I've never heard, nobody ever said anything to me. It was almost like at a certain point, they knew I wasn't going. So Mr. Madden said I could kind of like work for him. They kept an eye on me. So 12th grade, I'd have 2 classes, and then literally I would sit in like where Mr. Madden's office was. Yeah. And like he would, if he needed me to go get a student to get in trouble or something, he would send me to go get them. But the thing was, I was fucking up. So like I would go get my friends. I'd be like, I'm going to the bathroom. He would be like, all right. And I'd like go. The teachers knew I was working for, so I'd be like, Gene, Mr. Madden needs to speak to you. He'd get up. We spend like 10 minutes in the hallway. He'd go back into class. I go get, whoever. Go get
someone else.
Yeah. And then going back to graduation, my mom calls them, freaks out, like, you're going to tell me a fucking month before graduation about this? Like, never give us a warning or anything? Freaked out, and they were just like, basically, fine. Like, all right, we'll let them walk. And it was just like, wow. Yeah, thank God. But even getting that diploma from Wissahickon was a fight. So, wow. Yeah, different experience, right?
I was close. I almost didn't. I had some English thing with Mrs. McCracken, very similar thing, end of the line, and 2 weeks before, my mom had a call and check on it, and they gave me the thumbs up.
Yeah, they're like, we don't want to have to deal with these people again. Yeah, like it's not worth it. So yeah, graduated, and yeah, senior weekend party time.
When you left high school, what was that transition like? Now having to find your own.
Again, it was just, the money chase was on, so I was detailing cars. My dad worked at Mercedes, so I was lucky enough to have this benefit, if you would, that my dad could hook me up with clients, mostly wealthy clients, to detail their cars. They're interested in having somebody just come to their house in their driveway, clean their car, charge a nice premium fee. So at a certain point I had
like your own thing.
Yeah, I had like 30 cars, some are regular, and you're talking wealthy people who own businesses have 3 cars. I'd go there, clean 3 cars, make $500 in 4 hours every other Saturday, and then to the point where I have so many cars that I could start bringing a friend, paying them $150 for 4 hours. Back then, you're 18, you're feeling good. One Saturday walking with $150. So my mom was really the catalyst behind like me being somewhat financially smart. It was just like, yeah, you're making decent money, but this is manual labor, and you can like do this the rest of your life, but you'll be out in the snow doing this shit, and like you need to get a degree. So I was like, just to like kind of please her, I was like, fuck it, I'll go to Monco, and first I'll take 4 courses. but I was more interested in money, so I was working full time. I was working, I'm trying to think. I worked at Marabella's, remember that place?
Yeah. 73.
Yeah, I worked there when I was 16. I delivered pizzas for this pizza shop in Penland, the first pizza shop where that like little strip store was. Mm-hmm. So I always had these like little jobs and detailing. So I was more interested in doing that and doing the 4 courses at Monk. I was just not getting good grades, Mm-hmm. So I backed it down to 2. And then, I started, working at like GMAC Mortgage and just always detailing, but always having another job. I was basically had 2 jobs and trying to do school. So I started eventually just doing like 2 classes and getting better grades and slowly working my way up. And then did the dual graduated Monco. Again, still working all that time. And eventually I ended up working in a pharma where like a company that worked with pharmaceutical companies shipping their drugs. And I did that full time and did Temple and Ambler part time at night and got a bachelor's in business administration, marketing, So
nice.
Yeah.
You using it?
No, not at all. Never did anything in marketing. But the good thing was working full time in the pharma industry. Most pharma jobs need 4 years of experience plus a degree, and I had knocked out the 4 years experience. So I transitioned right into having being in the pharmaceutical industry with a degree.
That's cool.
I got 12 years pharma industry experience, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, went from selling illegal drugs to working with legal drugs. Yes, you see that transition? Who would have thought, right? That was crazy. So, but yeah. It was all just trying to chase a check, trying to, buy happiness.
Yeah.
What's driven into us,
Yeah, money.
Yeah,
money is the start of it, right?
Yeah. You gotta buy material stuff to make you feel good. It's strange how when you grow up, you learn and you kind of expand your mind more. That's happened to me a lot.
Yeah,
my perspective on stuff has changed dramatically from what I thought I knew and what I thought I wanted to even now, and I imagine in 10 years it'll be completely different.
What kind of stuff?
Like I said, coming out of high school, it was money. Like, I just want money. I just want to buy stuff and money. Just, that's how I'm going to be happy. And then, I know people who have money and kill themselves. I know, money isn't happiness. And then you realize it's relationships. It's different for everybody. But for me, it's not being so selfish. It's not, it's trying to grow relationships. And yeah, I would say for me, not being so selfish. Because before it was really like I said, going back to high school where I didn't do much with my family. I would rather be with my friends. Getting out of high school, still didn't really do much with my family. I was trying to get money. So like, I had friends I would go out with every Friday, Saturday night and drink with, you know what I mean? But it was really just like me trying to get what I wanted.
All right.
And now it's just like, I have a house. I have 1.5 acres. I drive a Benz. From the outside, I have what a lot of people would deem as being happy with,
right,
but
deal, right?
Yeah, but not, it's I seek more, I'm not happy, with just that stuff. I trade it all in for, a wife and like just a good, solid relationship that would stand the test of time. You know what I mean? Like, scary thinking about relationships and stuff.
Yeah, you're probably going to be one of the few of our age group that's unmarried. Like myself.
Yeah. Or without kids.
And without kids.
Like, who would have thought?
Yeah.
36. After my fiance and I split, I really had some deep thoughts and came to the conclusion that I would be happy. You have to accept it, right? Like, because you grow up with pictures of what life should be, right? Versus what life is. And I had to either decide whether or not I was going to pursue really trying to chase down a relationship and force one. I'm going to force a relationship so I can live this life that I imagined. And then you come to a conclusion that, like, you know, you could do that and be stuck with somebody, a partner to raise a kid with who you're not happy with, and there's conflict every other, you know, fucking night about some shit, or it's just more stress in your life.
You'll regret it.
Yeah, and I just came to the conclusion that if kids aren't in my cards, then I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? But I still would like to have them. But as long as it's with the right person. I've seen too many relationships with kids without the right situation, and feel bad for the kids, and I feel bad for the parents, just the stress. Life is stressful enough just with everyday shit. Like, that's what I'm saying about relationships, stress in relationships, having healthy relationships, positive people, you know, positive energy, not people yelling at you. You know, work stressful. You don't want to go home and then 8 hours, 9 hours at our job, and you go home, open the door, and you're already, you dreading going home just seeing this person's face. I don't want that, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Our perspectives are, I can't really add to that because that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I mean,
wow, that's funny.
Yeah. It's real life, man. That's what we're in right now. Right. It's like,
and people are getting less and less social as time goes on.
Well, yeah. And you blame the cell phone and social media. I hate it. You know, it takes away from chemistry. It takes away from me asking what you did this summer.
Yeah,
I don't gotta ask you. I was on vacation with you. It's not, you know, how many times you think about it, right? First day of school when we were going back to school, whether it be 8th grade, 7th grade, even younger. You want to know what your friends did that summer. You would have days. The first couple of days of school that week would be projects of what did you do this summer.
Yep.
You know, and your friend go away to summer camp. You want to find out what happened. Were there girls there? Like, you know, everything. Nowadays, you cannot see somebody for 3 months, and the first thing when you see them, you don't even say, "Hey, what's been up?" Because you already know. I know what you had for dinner last night, dude.
You know, that's something that I always said about the reunion when I would think about going, when we were talking about the two that we think happened. The one thing would be, who's going? Are the people that I want to see? Are the people that I want to see or catch up with, are they there? And what don't I know? Especially for me, I worked at Wawa. So for years, I saw everyone for years after high school. The one in Springhouse.
Nice.
Yeah, that was the one. And so everyone would come in all the time. So for 3, 4, 5 years, I knew exactly what everyone was up to. I knew where they worked. I knew where they lived, still in the area.
Yeah.
And so there was nothing to really catch up on. Now I feel like time has gone by.
People are definitely in their adulthood now,
yes.
Right? Like at 36... I mean, there's still time for you if you're listening to this and you don't have your shit together. But at this age, you know, it's if you're not on the right track, you better get on it, because we're closer to 40 than anything else. And after that, it's, you know what I mean? It's a race to retirement.
When I think about, man, my mom was 30 when she had me. So being 36 now and having no semblance of adulthood going on.
Yeah, my dad was, I think, 42.
Yeah.
And my mom was probably 30, 31.
Oh, Eric, my dad was 41. That is crazy.
Yeah, see? So
why weren't we friends?
Again, I never even, it's not even that I didn't like you. I just didn't know
crazy.
You. We never had classes together.
Yeah.
I just didn't know you, you know?
Yeah.
I was a friend. I was always friends of convenience. If you were in my class and you were in close reach to me, we would probably be friends.
Yeah.
If we had class together, you probably would have been like, this motherfucker's funny. You know what I mean? I might have said the same thing.
No, it would have never worked. I felt threatened. Yeah. It was...
Yeah.
And I probably, if I'm remembering, we probably had words. I was the type to like...
I can promise you this, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. Never heard of anything. But he's my closest friend to this day.
Yeah.
And there's never been a time when we reminisce that he brings up that fucking dude, Brad, back in fucking whatever grade, I should have fucking punched. Never. So yes. I'm sure whatever you held on to and felt was probably in and out of his head very quickly.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
It's been out of my head, but when I think back to
it,
when
you're looking at relationships
now,
and like, hey, I see this person on Facebook, like, but in high school, we never even spoke, you know?
And especially when you try and think back to your own shit
Yeah.
And you think back and you go, when did I, you think, man, was I like this back then? And you think, man, I used to do shit like this. I used to do shit like that. And you go, yeah, what about, I used to have those shit with Gene. And then as a grown-up, you think, what was that now? You have this one night you think about that shit and you go, no, you know what? Before we were even in school together, I punched him in the, I think I sucker punched him in summer camp. And I go, if that was me now, I would have really hated me. I would have never given me any slack.
Yeah.
And so that will probably be my first question when I talk to Gene.
Yeah.
Was I the asshole?
Yeah. I mean, you guys will know that way better than me because I don't even know that story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he remembers it. But I remember it now because I think back to it and I think, fuck.
There's certain stuff that's burned into people's memories,
Yeah.
Certain stuff that I can't fucking grasp onto if I wanted to, but there's.
Do you hold on to stuff from high school at all?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really hold on to it, but there's situations I wish I would have handled differently, or situations I wish I wouldn't have let affect me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That like when you're in the moment, when you're in high school, it's like you have no aspect of future. It's that day, it's that reputation you're living with, and you don't think like a week or a month. What will that, whatever I do, what's the impact? Yeah. So there's definitely, but not a lot. It's not like there's a whole bunch of situations, but there's things I wish I would have handled differently.
Yeah. I think that's my as an adult, that's more of my take on it when I look back and I say I can't change those things, but I wish I understood things the way I understand them now, and I have had more patience and thought to not react so hot
to
certain things.
Yeah.
Were you a fighter at all, or
not really?
No.
I wouldn't classify myself as a fighter. I mean, I'm not gonna let anybody disrespect me.
Yeah.
There were people in my circle of friends who were the fighters.
Mm-hmm.
I was more of the social guy who just wanted to have fun.
Glenn Mills just got some shit.
How about that? Shut down. Completely shut down. Wow. And the crazy thing is, they talk about for abuse. I'm like, the reason they sent me to Glenn Mills was because of that. Because of the physical, it was the only place where they could physically restrain you, for lack of a better term, aka fuck you up. Mm-hmm. That was like, that's why Glenn Mills is so good. This is where all the bad kids, the kids who are so bad. But I actually had to go to Glenn Mills for a different reason. I'm gonna shock your memory here too. So I was in the detention center, and they were like, well, what do we do with him? Like, Lakeside's too crowded, and this detention center's filling up. The detention center's filling up. This is right after Columbine. So all the fucking threats that kids were calling in, remember? Like right afterwards, there was this spike. Yeah, there was this spike. So I'm in detention center with like these fucking little white kids who have fucking mental problems with mommy and daddy calling in school saying they're going to shoot shit up. So, they shipped me out to Glenn Mills. And I don't even know if I was supposed to be there, but yeah, that's when, it was real. All the staff member, it was a beautiful campus. I mean, beautiful. You're not in cuffs or nothing. It's like a college campus. But, they're waking you up fucking 5. You're fucking...
Like the army?
Yeah, when you first get there, I think you earn... Again, I wasn't there long enough. You earn more freedoms the more they trust you. But like the first couple of weeks, you're like a high risk. So staff member always got to be with you. So you're up 5 a.m. You go to bed when they tell you. You have like 2 minutes to take showers. They like literally time you. I don't know if you even know what that's like to try to take and clean yourself in 2 fucking minutes. You become good at it, but that shit is, I'll tell you what, when you get out of there, you fucking appreciate a shower without somebody saying 1 minute, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 30 seconds, and they turn the shower off with soap in your fucking, on your body and take you the fuck out of there. But I was there when somebody tried to run off, because you're not in cuffs or nothing. But when you run, these are all like ex-NFL people who don't make it. Like, these are fucking bouncer type dudes, and they grab you and they can punch you and they fuck you up. But there was people there from like Florida, Texas. This is a known. But that's why I'm like, when I hear it now, that just shows how stuff has changed, and the optics of stuff is so different and sensitive now. Now they're like, they hit people at Glen Mills, shut it down. I'm like, shit, that's how it was. What do you mean? That's how it's been. That's not something new. That's not abuse. That wasn't abuse when I went there. That was normal. Wow. Probably make it like fucking an old age community, 55 and up now. They pop up everywhere out there.
Got to use the building. Yeah.
And the property. I mean, they got these birds there that like are specific to that area that I think are from the South. It's crazy. They got like a fucking community. The houses were like Jefferson House. It's a fucking beautiful place.
Wow.
Probably a shitload of money from staffers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had great sports programs. If I probably would have stayed there, I probably would have done sports. Some success stories that come out of Glen Mills. That's why I was kind of not as sad as St. Mary's getting knocked down, but just another
one, right?
Another staple of when we were growing up that's going to be erased.
Do you get down to Ambler at all?
Yeah, my dad lives in Fort Washington. Still got friends. Still get my hair cut by Earl and Ambler. Yeah, right at the end of Forest Ave.
That's awesome.
Ironic.
You're at Forest Gardens?
Valley Brook Apartments.
Oh yeah, Valley Brook. Mm-hmm. So I used to see you guys driving by there because I was at Edgewood, right at the top there.
Is that the place with the pool?
Yes.
Yeah, we should have been friends. Fuck. Pools were valuable back then.
Yeah.
Fuck. I used to be jealous of shit about apartments. Like, why don't we live in those apartments? The street over and has a fucking pool. Fuck. Lived across it for
my mom was all about that.
18 years and never once was in it.
Never?
Didn't even jump into it.
When I look online on Facebook and shit, your friends are all still very tight. You guys all still, weddings and stuff. It's a happy sight when someone's getting married or something.
Right? It's rare to have that group stick together.
Yeah, such a large group too.
Yeah, it doesn't feel so large anymore, I can tell you that.
No.
And even now it's dissolved into just the strength of the time known, every I might be the only one left that doesn't have kids, or a kid.
Yeah.
Literally. Fran has a baby coming soon, and then it's just me, so social life just isn't the same, and it's expected, but so your friendships, we're all men too, so it's not like women where we set up lunch dates and shit, right? We should get together for games more, and we used to, and like you said, during special occasions, we still get up, but it would be nice to do more than just a special occasion, but we're still a phone call away. Like, I still, feel like if I needed any one of them, I could call and they would be there. It's just not, there were years of just, what is this, Saturday night?
Yeah.
So, you would be expecting to be with like 4 or 5 of them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and now they got
drinking. Yeah, now,
kids.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, you can come over, the baby should be down by like 9, you can smoke on the deck and shit, and then baby's down, we can watch, Phillies game. Mm-hmm. It's just like, dude, I'll get fucking tired.
Kind of, yeah.
I'd rather be on my couch and pass out.
Exactly.
So
drive back, and
yeah, and then after working, you're an adult now. You work, fucking tired. In the car going to work you got the same distance as me. That 40-minute ride there and back. You less time out of the car sometimes appreciate it. Like, I don't know if I feel like getting in the car and driving because I'm old now.
Just gonna walk around the block real quick.
Something I can never forget. When I was 16, I was first get my license. It was sitting on the step with Gene and saying, when I get my license, I'm always going to be driving. I'll never be bored, right? I'll just always be driving. I don't even care if I have nowhere to go. I'll just be driving. Now I'm just so happy when I don't have to drive.
For me, especially out here with parking, once you give up your spot
it's
at
like
night,
real estate, right?
Once I give it up, that's
you get a
it.
good spot. You're like, fuck yeah. When I parked here, I was like, holy shit. If I get a ticket or towed, sometimes it's too good to be true. You're like,
no, you're all right.
Searching everywhere for signs, hidden signs and shit. Come out there, the car's gone. Got to pay $250 to get it out.
It's brutal. They got me one time up here. Someone was moving. They put up a temporary sign. They got me for about $450. Because then you got to pay the tickets that you owe on top of that. So I had a couple for like $95, and they got me for all of them.
Yeah. And the worst parking I ever seen was the Bronx. I dated a girl in college for a couple years in the Bronx, and like we would go out on a Saturday night and come home at 4 a.m, and we would have to sleep in the car, double parked until like somebody moved their car. You drive around the block 20 fucking times, and then finally like just double park, just fall asleep. Sometimes cops come up behind you and make you start driving around again, but I don't get how people do it.
That's why I'm not very into New York. It's just very complicated everywhere.
It's a good place to visit.
Yeah.
I'm cool with visiting.
Yeah.
Now, if I was on some like really, really rich shit, if you can live in New York the right way,
I had a driver.
yeah, I mean, garage underneath the building, where like, yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, we can do it.
Perfect. Even here, like I kind of wish I could get like a garage. I see some of these places around here in South Philly that have little garages, and I think, man, that's really convenient.
Yeah. I was introduced to somebody who had a house on South Street who had a garage underneath. Like, that's where he could park. Mm-hmm. Sick-ass place. Balcony overlooks South Street.
Is there anything that you want to talk about that we haven't talked about?
I don't know. The environment now we live in, the politics. I don't know what your political stance is.
I'm extremely liberal.
Yeah.
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 Believe in rights for everybody and no discrimination.
I haven't run into too many biracial people who don't.
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
it's hard being biracial and
Yeah.
being like, nah, fuck immigration. Like,
what's that like for you? Biracial nowadays. My line, I always say, it's like it was hard back then for me because, especially I didn't even know you were Jewish, and so I thought it, like I always say, it was just me. This was before Drake.
Yeah, you were the OG Drake.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah. But you were right there. So I mean, like now it's like, oh, of course, it's and
it's definitely more common, right? Like you said, growing up before I came, were you the only biracial kid that you know of? In school.
Yep.
Okay, so I was the only biracial kid I knew in my school in Chestnut Hill, and then nowadays I feel like I run into a lot more biracial people. Mm-hmm. It's like, I don't want to say more accepted, because it wasn't like it wasn't accepted, but again, racial stuff still exists, right? Like there was, my mom's family didn't necessarily agree with my mom being with my dad. I lived with it in my own family, so. But nowadays it's more blended, right?
Right.
It's a good thing.
I've assembled a large group of biracial friends. Last weekend, went to the Roots picnic with 6 biracial people.
That might be a record.
It's
I don't know 6.
We're calling ourselves Browntown.
It's cool, man.
It's incredible.
I never had down for the next event.
Yes,
let's make it 7.
Dude, you're in. Yeah, it's so weird now that it is so accepted. I felt very much like the black sheep of culture.
Yeah, I always got Spanish. I never really got
right.
Nobody ever was like, you're a black or you're white or you're mixed. I never got mixed. It was always Spanish.
Yes,
or black.
and even now I get Samoan.
I've never had that.
Oh yeah, in fact now it's boring when I tell them I'm black and white. Samoan, Latino, and then I go, yeah, and I just black and white. Oh, sorry.
So, living in the city, how's that like?
It's fun. I like not driving.
Yeah.
I like that I can go anywhere, especially around here, versus being a little bit further south. I can walk anywhere pretty much in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's extremely convenient.
First time I was on 9th Street, I think was there a teacher, Mr. Lazar?
Mr. Lazar.
Was there a field trip? I think 9th grade field trip. Bus crashed into a wall, backing up and parking. There's these weird memories I have, but that was my first introduction. I guess Rocky's fucking motion picture might have been my first introduction, but the first time I was down here was that. So just driving down here was a little memory lane, all the food and shit outside and shit.
I think it's always been my dream to live in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Living in the suburbs my whole life. And then coming down here, my dad used to always come down here for food.
Okay.
So no matter where we were, food would be on the way, even if it was an hour away.
Okay, he's a foodie.
Yeah. So we would go to the gyms in West Philly if we were in North Philly.
Yeah.
And we would go to Ogons Avenue to get wings.
Yeah.
And so learning those spots and then learning there was a gyms on South Street. Then when I'm a teenager and I can drive and then it's like, okay, now we're just going to, my buddy had an apartment up here. So we would park and walk 10 blocks and go get gyms, and going to Temple at main campus and, living in Port Richmond and just doing that shit for a year or two. And yeah, just loved it down here. So
yeah, I would have liked to have experienced living in the city. Sometimes I think stuff happens for reasons. Stuff. I feel like I might be a little too crazy if I was down here. You know what I mean? Back in my younger days. Now it'd be different, but like back in my younger days when I was into going out and being out all night, probably wasn't the right time for me to be living down here,
I definitely go through those when I was younger. I've been here for 5 years. So when I first got here, that was a thing. And when people come down, it's always accessible, and that's the cool thing that's here. But like I'm exactly like you. By like 11:30, I could be calling it quits and be like, well, I guess it was a pretty successful day. I talked to some people on the sidewalk, and especially out here living in a touristy area, it's packed all weekend. So I feel like
people
I did
taking
some shit.
pictures. Do you see people taking pictures every day?
Every day, every single day.
Yeah.
Look at the pig's head, and yeah. So I feel like I did some shit.
Now, did you live down here for the Eagles?
Yes,
that had to be
that was crazy. So I watched a game in Fishtown. And then drove back, somehow got like the last parking spot on this street.
Lucky.
Ran in, grabbed a bottle of champagne, went 6 blocks down to Broad Street. It was like the entire place was just lit up. Yeah. I told the story to Mike too. The entire place was like just lit up, packed with people. Everyone's just drinking. And I just had my bottle of champagne and walking down, and everyone was just in love.
Yeah, that must have been fucking awesome. I made the parade. I watched the game at Gene's house, but yeah, that was it's a good time to be a Philadelphia sports fan. That's what I do now, is sports and work.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask you a couple stupid, like just canned questions, just for a tally. Favorite during high school, favorite music artist?
It would probably have to be Beanie Siegel.
Yeah. I just saw him last weekend.
Yeah, he's a little different with one lung.
Yeah, but he did all right.
Has to whisper.
He did all right. He rapped like 2 verses. He rapped Jay-Z's verse and his. He did okay.
It was a lot for him, probably.
It was a lot.
Yeah, it's been through a lot, that man.
Favorite movie?
Oh man, my memory is not it's not built for 99 to 2001 type. Favorite movie, I need like a list of movies at that time in order, but I'll probably just say I know I watched a lot of Scarface, so
that's good.
Probably Scarface.
All right,
I would imagine.
Do you have a favorite class or teacher?
No. Nah, I mean,
I didn't think so.
I had some teacher, Mr. Brody, I got along with.
Yeah.
He was always cool to me. Coach Stokes, the gym teacher, he was always cool with me. Again, even Mr. Madden, besides the times he was trying to fuck with me, he would also be somewhat cool to me. So like Mr. Lazar was cool. Remember the substitute, the old man with the suspenders?
Oh, man.
Remember that guy?
Oh,
He's an old
boy.
head.
Yes.
Yeah. So
he was a veteran.
Yeah, that was always
Dodderin, Mr.
I don't know his name.
Dodderin.
I don't even know if I remember if I heard it. But
someone's gonna bring it up at some point.
That was always an easy day that day.
Yeah.
But there was a female who taught next to Mr. Lazar. I can't think of her name, but she was also cool.
Chaplin?
Probably. She had dark hair, I think.
Foy.
I think it was Foy. But she was cool as shit. She was always nice.
Yeah.
There's a couple teachers, man.
Your memory's pretty good.
It's hard. It's hard, man. Selective memory. I haven't thought about high school in a very long time. Just driving by there is a lot different. You know, especially you said grew up on Edgewood. That's walking distance. They didn't even have a bus for us.
Right.
So a lot of days, because I went to camp there before I even went to WWFINHS, which is another reason I knew a lot of people.
WWFINHS, yeah. Okay.
So
I was at that camp.
yeah.
That's the camp I punched Gene.
I think I came a couple of years later then.
Okay.
A lot of times walking to WWFINHS, it's different now. You know, it's changed.
The school?
Yeah.
The building?
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
Faculty, the students, you get what, iPads now, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Each student gets their own iPad or whatever, computer, everything's online. Shit's just changing.
I've been in there 20 years, I guess, 15.
No, I've only drove by. I've never
I
been
haven't
in.
been by there. Yeah, I haven't been by. Man, I got to drive by there.
Yeah, I used to go to the 4th of July fireworks.
Oh, yeah, I do go to that. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't been in the last couple of years, but that used to be a little tradition me and my friends used to do for sure. Yeah.
Well, that's, I don't know. I guess that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a
Thank you.
pleasure doing it, man. Good catching up, taking me down memory lane.
Yeah, man, that was, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you for being so open.
Yeah, no problem.
We have so many things in common. Let's be friends.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Let's hang out.
I know
We'll
I know
go to
where you
games.
live now. You know
Yes.
what I mean? I definitely do go to games. So
Yeah. Let's do some fun shit.
yeah, for sure.
All right.
I'm still around.
I gotta get you to sign my yearbook now.
Oh yeah. Let me see this thing. I got mine somewhere.
Let's see here.
I probably gotta knock some dust off of it.
Same page.
Oh my god. I don't even remember looking like this.
That was the look back then, the Caesar. Is that what it was called?
I don't even know.
See, I had the curly Jewish hair. I couldn't get my hair like that.
I did a lot with my hair back then. I had it blonde.
Really?
I had it. Yeah, I used to do some hair shows. It was crazy.
Hair shows?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Like, so my barber would enter, whether it be a competition or would be featured in a magazine, and he would do my hair fucking all crazy and shit.
Really?
Dye it like 3 colors, twist it up. Yeah.
Wow.
I had it dyed blonde, like Eminem blonde, probably for a year.
Really?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
What happened to that?
I mean, I don't know. You know, you just grow out of it. I had my hair, like I said, dyed 3 times, like 3 different colors with twists. I've had twists. I've had braids, you know.
Wow.
And then, yeah, picking me up. I was still in Wissahickon, picking me up like 6 a.m., driving to New York with like these 3 fucking dudes from Philly that are barbers trying to cut hair, having my hair like all crazy looking. They worked on it for like 2.5 hours and
Wow.
taking pictures and then being in a magazine. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
cool.
just another experience. It wasn't like
Yeah.
I got paid or anything.
No,
It was
that's
just
cool.
just smoke the way up there, buy me food while we're there, you know. But it was just, I think it was like 16. I definitely had my license.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. So just another experience. Yeah, I still got some. Rumor had to bring me back. You know, I still got a lot of other shit. You know what I mean?
I'm just see that shit I can't do. My hair's I'm holding on.
Oh yeah, yeah. This shit's done now. That's probably why I'm suffering myself. But it's either age or, you know, genetics. I might have to blame my parents for my lack of hair, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know,
Rocking out to in our late 30s here.
yeah, exactly.
So there it is. Looking back, you know, I think I can force memories of tense situations with Erik. Never physical, but argumentative. And during the interview, I had to make a quick decision, and that was to decide that whatever those feelings or those situations that I remember, I just got to kind of chalk it up to bullshit. Erik clearly didn't remember those situations, and I didn't want the podcast to be me asking him, "Don't you remember when you said this?" And so really, I was just kind of going with the flow, going with the conversation. I'm glad I did. I learned so much about Erik. I don't know. I came away wishing that I knew Erik even a little bit in high school, learning during this interview that Erik is Jewish. I knew he was biracial, never knew he was Jewish. And honestly, I kind of felt like I missed an opportunity to bond with someone who had such a similar experience to race and religion as I did. We literally lived, our apartment complexes were literally across the street from each other. I was shocked by Erik's legal struggles in high school. I just knew nothing about it, wasn't expecting it, and I was literally jaw dropped as he started to describe it. Here I am, ready to talk about how Erik and I thought butted heads, and we weren't even in school together for a year and a half. Hearing about the death of Justin Marc Lee was also really surprising. Justin is someone that I had known through elementary school and summer camp, and we used to get in fights, and at some point in my life, I just kind of lost track of Justin, and I've never, ever, ever, up until the point of this interview, heard anyone say his name or mention him again. I just guess I kind of figured he moved away. So for that to be the first thing to hear about Justin in what was probably like 25 years, that was just pure shock for me. Erik's perspective on being single in his mid-30s was, like I said, extremely familiar. I couldn't add anything more to it because it's identical to what I've been thinking about processing in my own head for the past couple of years now. But it reminds me that, your thoughts, your experiences are not always unique. And if you're feeling a certain way, there's a really good probability that someone else is feeling the exact same way about a similar situation. You just never know unless you have the conversation. And finally, I guess I'm wondering if anyone that's listening to this shouted out the substitute teacher that Erik brought up at the end here. I couldn't think of his name during the interview. I'm going to save it for all of you to discuss amongst yourselves because I know for a fact that in 2 weeks, the next guest will bring up this substitute teacher. So that'll be fun. We'll save it. So in 2 weeks, my guest will be Danielle Cataldi. I've known Danielle, I guess, for my entire school life. We both grew up in Ambler, but I never really knew much about her life. And I think, again, I mischaracterized how Danielle perceived me in high school. Imagine that. And so that'll be in 2 weeks on a Monday morning. The podcast is, again, out everywhere, streaming. Thank you to everyone that found it regardless. And now you can actually truly subscribe on Apple Podcasts, on Google Play, on Stitcher, on Spotify, on whatever you use for podcasts. It's there. The Instagram is We Weren't Friends in High School. The Twitter is WWF in High School. And my social media is REDSHIRTPLAYA everywhere. Thank you to everyone that's been commenting, sharing social media. It's been really, really, really fun to reconnect with some people online and just see how much people are digging the podcast. And in 2 weeks, be back with episode 3, Danielle Cataldi. 2 weeks on a Monday morning. See you then, guys.